Welcome back. Today we'll be looking at Introduction to SPSS. SPSS is an acronym that stands for Statistical Packages for Social Sciences. And SPSS is one of the software that is used for advanced data analysis. So, before you can use SPSS for your analysis, it's expected of you to have it installed on your system. So I have SPSS installed here and I have pinned it to my taskbar. So the first step is to locate where I have it on my taskbar and click on it. If you have it on your desktop direct, you can double click on it to open it. And if you don't have it on your desktop, you can use the search box option to search for it and click on it to open it. So once you have clicked on the SPSS, give it times to load, like as it's loading now currently. So we'll give it some times to load. And that is it. Our SPSS is done loading. So now this is the interface of SPSS. As you can see here, it gives us a column and row section, a tabular format. Like as you can see here, the column is represented by var, which is a shortcut for variable, and we have the row label with numeric figures that is from 1 downward. Now this is how the structure of SPSS look like. It's look like it's a spreadsheet, like it's in form of spreadsheet like that of Microsoft Excel, but a lot of difference. Now from here we have the menu bar, the menu. This is the menu. We have the file option, the edit, the view, the data, the transform, and the rest. And we have the ribbon here, which display command for each which displays some a few commands. And as well, we have two view in SPSS. One of the view in SPSS is called the data view, which is where we are right now, and the other view in SPSS is the variable view. If you click on the variable view, this is how the variable view look like. You see, this is where you declare your variable and set the properties of your variable, while the data view is where you enter your observation for each of the variable. So let's take for instance, when you have a data that has to do with name, gender, and age. So the name, gender, and age are your variable, so they are going to display here you have your name, your gender, and the age here as the name of the variable. Then for the observation, you enter them in each of the row based on the number of observation that you have. Currently now we can see that in our visibility is equal to 0 of 0 variable, because we don't have any variable declared yet. So before you use SPSS, before you enter any data into SPSS, the first thing to do is to declare your variable. To declare your variable, go to the variable view. Variable view is used in declaring and assigning properties to variable. So for the variable view, you can see it's also arranged in spreadsheet like. We have the column and the row. Now the column is calibrated with some functions like the name, the type of the variable, the width of the variable, the decimals point, like if you are dealing with a continuous data, and also we have the label function, the value, the missing, the column, align, measure, and row. Now down here for the rows is calibrated in figures from 1 upward. Yes, this is based on the number of the variable. Like if I have, like what I said earlier, if I have 3 variable, name, gender, and age, it means I'm having 3 variable. I will enter each of the variable in a separate row. So this observation, this row we are having here is for the number of variables, but for the data view, the row we are having here is for the numbers of observations. So back to the variable view. From the variable view here, let's start by declaring a variable name. In declaring a variable name, you have to be very careful because it's case sensitive, and also there are some kind of combination that you cannot use. For instance, if I'm accepting like full name, I cannot type full then space name. It will not work. Yes, as I enter, you see that it showed me an error that variable name contain an illegal character. Yes, you cannot have a space in between your variable. So if you have a variable to be joined together, you can decide to use different type of case, like as it is in variable declaration that we have different style. You can use underscore to join two or more words together, and you can use something like camel case, where you start the first one with small letter, then the preceding ones will start with capital letter. You start with capital letter. So you can use stuffs like that. So if you have names that are two, you have to separate them. You have to separate them using either either underscore or using a camel case. Yes, now let's look at this. Maybe what I want to write here is student's name. So I can type this student, then put the underscore name. This way it will work. You will not have any issue. As I use that, you can see that we don't have any issue. It works for us. And you can use the other format, like if you want to use the camel case, for instance, we can start by typing student to all be in lowercase, then the name will now start with uppercase. Stuff like this. It also work for you, but you cannot leave a space in between your variable. And there are also some kind of characters that you cannot start your variable with. Like for instance, you cannot start the name of your variable with number. Like I say number, then I type stuff. It will not go. Yes, it will not go. It will tell you that it contains illegal character. So you cannot start the name of a variable with number, and you can in SPSS, and also you cannot have space in between the variable, like when you have two words to join together the way we did here. So you can either type it together like this, then you use a case, a standard case. This is called a camel case, and you can decide to make use of underscore like the first one I showed you. So this is for declaration of name. Then is assigning properties to the name. So the name property, the name variable is string. So under type here, click on the dot there and select the variable type. So this is string. We are going to select string, which means it contains anything that is string. This can contain anything, special character, number, alphabet, whatever, it will contain it. So we'll click on OK. So you can also set the width for your variable. Is not that needed all the time. And also you can give a decimal if it is something that is number and you want to leave it at a particular decimal. Maybe it's currency and you want to leave it at 2 places of decimal. You can also do that here by writing the number of decimal you want. Yes, but this one is string, so you don't deal with decimal, nothing like decimal. Yes, again we have label, which is the name that is going to appear in the output of your analysis, the name that will appear for this particular variable. In declaring variable here, we join it together. So maybe this I wanted to show separately, like clearly on my analysis output for clarification purpose. So now I can type this like this, students space then name. There I will not have any issue because this is for label. You can even have it like a long line of text. There's no problem with it, because in some cases you will have to replace it with the question you ask in your questionnaire. Yes, and it's going to be lengthy. It will accept it because it's a label. Next we have value. You can declare particular value, but it's not assigned to this kind of variable. So I will show you that when we get to that. Then again, the other important thing we have here is the measure. Categorically we have two measure in SPSS 27. So your data can add we have three measure actually. We have the ordinal, the nominal, and the scale. Now for string data, your string data can either be nominal or ordinal. That's why we are having this in these two formats. Please try to refer back to our first discussion on introduction to data analysis, so you get to understand more about how come about this data type and what a nominal data types mean, and also what an ordinal data types stand for. Okay, so this is a nominal data type because it's not something in order. So next, I said I need another variable of gender. So for the gender, a single variable, it's a single name variable, so there's no need for any joining, so you don't have any issue with that. So I type this, and now if by default it's giving you everything in numeric, yes, we can collect gender in numeric but transform it. That is one thing you can do while declaring a variable. You can collect your gender in numeric. I told you guys something during data cleaning, that you can transform your data from string to value before you take it to the software that you will be using for your analysis, like SPSS or R. And while using SPSS, you can convert that number back to string, yes, by assigning a value to each of the number. So in this case, this is gender variable, and gender is either male or female, so it can be others. All right, so all these, they are string, but we want to receive them in numeric format. How do you do this? That is where we'll now look at the function of value and value properties and how it works. So now by default is set to none, right? So here I'm going to say gender of respondent as my label. So under value here, click on the three dots. It will display the value label dialog box. So from here we have value to assign and the label for each of the value. So I'm going to code it in this way, that 1 goes for male, so 1 will be equal to male. Then we'll click on add, we'll have it here. Then on the next, I'm going to code 2 to be equal to female, so the value will be 2 and the label should be female, like this. Then I can click on add. So for others, I can code this to be equal to 3, so order is 3, and click on add, and that is all. Click on OK. Now what we do here is that we are going to receive string data with numeric value. So from there we can go here, and also this is also a nominal data, it's also a nominal data, so we'll leave it like that. So the third information we want to collect here is the age. So age, and you know age is numeric, so I may not need to do any work with it. The only thing I'll do here is just to change the major to nominal, and that is all. What we did here is that we try to create 3 variable, which is student's name, gender, and age. Now that we have created variable, if we go back to our data view, you discover that the first 3 columns there carry the name of the variable we just declared there, and the rest are still there. There are space for you. You can do whatever you want to do. And you can see in our visibility now, we can say we have 3 visibility and 3 variables, because we have 3 variables in total for this particular data set now. So to enter the first observation, we give this a string, right, which means it will contain anything. Let's say the first name here is John Smith. All right, something happened. When I type this John Smith, you discover that I can't move further. Why? Because the width was set to 8, and if the width is set to 8, it means it can contain just 8 characters. If you count this now, this John is 4, the space there added to 8 is 5, then this SMI is 3 character, all together is 8. That is why we cannot proceed. So the width really matters when you have a large information to collect, but if it is just for figures, you can leave it to just that default of 8, no problem. So in order to avoid this, we can go back to our variable view, go to under string there, and we'll increase the width from 8 to 25. So it will accept the length of any name that is not longer than 25 characters. So now if I type the complete one now, it will accept it. So that is the function of the width. You have seen that one. So for gender, I said I'm accepting gender in figures, but I want to display in alphabets. The label should display the label should display in alphabet, and that is how we coded the label then. So if I enter 1, it means 1 for this particular person is male, actually is male, so I can click enter. You can see that it's changed to male. But in some cases you discover that even when you are using this, it will still be showing you 1. What is happening? If it is showing you 1, try to go back to the ribbon here, look for where we have this value label option. If it is toggle off, it will show you in number. but the moment to toggle it on is going to show you the label in alphabets. But if it is not toggled on, it will show you the value instead of the label. That is it. So for the gender, for the age, maybe the age of this person is 32. I'm done with the first observation. So let me go to the second observation. Maybe this time around we have Mariam Usman, and as you can see, we are on the genders part, and 2 is for female, right? So the moment I enter 2 and move to the next column, the next cells, we can see that it will change to female. And let's say the age is 23. This is how you can create a variable and also enter data in SPSS. As well, if you want to show the entire information in a particular column, you can expand it. Like for now, this is not expanded, so the remaining part of the name is not showing, and we want to see everything. You can expand it. Just take your mouse to the variable columns there, the variable label columns there, and then expand it by dragging it. It will work that way for you, and you can see the entire information in each of the cell for that particular columns. So this is basically how to create a variable and enter data for each of the variable in SPSS. Now, like for what we are having, age here is showing us that is giving us decimal, and age don't used to have decimal. We can clear all this by going back to the variable view there. You can see that the decimal is set to 2. That is why it's showing us that. So we'll take the decimal to 0, and that is all. We will have it in whole number, not in floating point anymore. So this is how it works. The data view is where you enter your data, and the variable view is where you declare your variable and assign value to your variable. Okay, next we'll look at how to save a data. We'll look at how to save data, a particular data set in SPSS. To save your data set in SPSS, all you need to do is to click on the file option from here, from the menu. Then you select the save option or save as option. So we're going to click on the save option. Though since it's the first time we're trying to save this, it's going to display the save as dialog box for us. So next, you try to look for the location where you want to save this data. So by default, it will open you to the document, and I actually don't want to save this in my documents here, so I'm going to need to create a new folder here. Right click and select new folder. I want a new folder for my data set for this particular course, so I'm going to call this new folder ASON. Then enter. So this is where I'll be saving this to. So I'll double click on the folder to open the folder, and now from here you can write the file name. For this, I'm going to call this 0101 dataset. And that is all. You'll be saving this. The save type will be .cav. That is the format for raw data set from SPSS. So once you're done with this, if you want to encrypt it with formula, you can select the option for encryption and encrypt it, well, all that, but I'm not doing that in this video. And so all I need to do now is just to save the work, and that is all. So I'll click on save, and this work has been saved. As you can see here, we can see the new name of the data set from the title bar, which is showing us that what we have here, the name of the data set is 01 dataset.cav. So this is basically how to create a data set in SPSS, and also yes, how to create a data set in SPSS, how to create your variable, and also enter data in SPSS. This is just basic introduction to SPSS and how SPSS work. Thank you. See you guys in my next video.